Marty, he just found humor in everything. Marty was a piece of work. He was a pharmacist by trade, and his passion was being a Christian music leader. I spoke at some retreats, and Marty would be in charge of the music, the song after a speaker, the song after lunch, and what have you. And when I met him, he was in his 50s. He had severe diabetes. He had to get around on a scooter. He had his wild outfits on, Tasmanian devil slippers, and just a hoot, always smiling. And I heard these stories about him. Now, I also heard that he had had to fight in Vietnam and some terrible things happened, really bad, that he'd had to rely on his faith to get him through on that. And then I heard this true story about Marty, something he did in Logansport, Indiana. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And it was one of the ways he was able to stay upbeat. One time, Marty went through the McDonald's in his little old town of Logansport. He had a big old boat of a car. And he went by, and at that time, I guess McDonald's did this for a period of time, like they do McRib for a period of time. And it said, Braille menu available upon request, as he got near the drive-thru. Now, Marty had buddies play jokes on him, and he could deal them out too. And he pulls up, he'd never noticed that before. And he just idled his boat car and looked at it. Huh, all right. Well, then he pulled up to the first speaker window, first talk. And the young lady's voice came through who sounded like she'd just gone through Leadership Academy. Very enthusiastic. May I help you? And he said, yes, would like to get the Braille menu. And apparently no one had ever asked for it before because she got excited. She goes, oh, I'll be right out. So Marty reached over in his glove compartment and got his big dark sunglasses. And he put them on. And he lowered down and sort of put his hand over and he moved the car up a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. This young lady comes out. She goes right to the passenger door. And she looks in and no one's there. She looks in the back seat, no one there. She looks over and here's Marty. She steps back. What does she do? She hands him the sunglasses and then starts walking backwards to her post. About this time, her assistant's head is sticking out, looking like a turtle head out of the shell. And they walk back, and old Marty, now he has to drive forward. This time, several other people are watching. He's sitting there, boom, 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 boom. And in one of the most significant moments in central Indiana history, he starts to drive that car forward, and he reaches his left arm out and feels the bushes. Vroom, vroom, vroom. He feels the bushes. He gets up to the first order window, slaps it, and then he puts his order in. Now he's got to drive forward, and he boom, 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 boom. He gets up to the building. He now pats the bricks. He gets to the first window. At this point now, about 10 people are looking. They've stopped doing drive-through transactions. They're white as a ghost, and they're like, what in the world? He hands them his wallet and says, I have a 20 and a 5. Would you please make change? At this point now, the people in the counter are starting to look. They're stupid. What happens? They make the transaction. Now he's got to drive forward and pay. Boom, 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 pat, 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 boom, boom. Gets up, and he makes the payment. Now he's got to leave. You'd think at some point someone would stop this. There's a lack of leadership in this country. We've got to work with young people on taking action, leadership. They give him his food, and now he milks it out. He starts to drive off. He takes his car, goes to the far right, just misses the bumper, comes back, hits the curb of McDonald's, kaboom. He looks in his rearview mirror, and everyone in that restaurant goes to the front. They're peering out the window. It's a 3-lane one-way coming out. He goes out all across 3 lanes, bam, hits the curb, comes back, bam, hits the other one, and keeps going. Now, again, Marty didn't mean to poke fun at anybody. It's just the way he is, a good guy. He gets home and forgets all about it. About 3 weeks later, he goes through, didn't even think about the menu, and he pulls up to the pay window and looks up, and there's that young girl. And she sees him, and she just does this. And he's like, never been in a situation where you've been caught? And there's this awkward silence for about 7 seconds. And she's got to look like, explain, please. And finally he goes, praise the Lord, it's a miracle. Vroom! He took off. He never paid for his food. He didn't get his food. He was gone. He didn't come back for several weeks.